Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our midday briefing. Please take your seats. So, first of all, the meeting of heads of cabinet has not finished yet, and therefore we cannot share the final agenda of the meeting of the college tomorrow. Nevertheless, in order to help you in terms of press events, I can already announce that President von der Leyen will present the multi-annual financial framework for 2028-2034, together with Commissioner Serafin, here in the press room tomorrow in the afternoon. We're also planning to organize a technical briefing off the record, where you will be able to ask your questions to our experts on the wider package of the multi-annual financial framework, the MFF. We will get back to you via our usual channels on the final timing, so please bear with us a bit longer. In addition, I can also say that we are organizing sectorial press conferences and technical briefings on different issues related to the MFF proposal. Again, we will inform you of the final timings and topics in due course. I can, however, already announce that several members of the college will likely come to the press room on Thursday to present the decisions related to programs within their respective areas. And that's it for the press events of tomorrow's college meeting. And again, please follow our usual comms channels. Et puis, je me permets de continuer en vous rappelant, même si je sais très bien que vous êtes déjà au courant, que les ministres des Affaires étrangères se sont réunis aujourd'hui à Bruxelles pour une réunion du Conseil. La haute représentante Kallas préside la réunion et les commissaires Kos et Suica y participent pour la Commission. Depuis ce matin, les ministres discutent l'agression russe contre l'Ukraine avec le ministre ukrainien des Affaires étrangères, Andriy Sybiha, qui a participé virtuellement. Ils abordent également la situation au Moyen-Orient, y compris à Gaza, en Israël et en Iran, ainsi que la situation en Géorgie. Le Conseil tient aussi un débat sur le pacte et la réforme de l'Union pour la Méditerranée. Enfin, les ministres discuteront de l'actualité portant sur la relation entre l'Union européenne et la communauté d'États latino-américains et caribéens, la CELAC. Ils discuteront également la situation en Somalie, la Moldavie, la Chine, le Japon et la Libye. Veuillez noter que la 5e réunion ministérielle UE Voisinage Sud, convoquée par la haute représentante Kallas et la commissaire Suica, s'est tenue hier. Au cours de la journée, les ministres ont échangé leur point de vue sur le nouveau pacte pour la Méditerranée. De plus, les ministres ont eu l'occasion de discuter de la situation géopolitique actuelle dans la région. La haute représentante Kallas participera à la conférence de presse qui suivra la réunion d'aujourd'hui, prévue, d'après mes dernières informations, pour 16h45, donc 5h moins le quart cet après-midi. Et comme d'habitude, je vous invite à garder vos questions sur ces sujets pour cette conférence de presse. Ook een warm welkom aan onze jonge Nederlandse vrienden. Voilà pour nos annonces. Passons maintenant à vos questions.
Thanks, Stefan. It's a question for Krishnana with Ernst Europe. It's a question for Olaf, I believe, possibly Ariana. It's on the Ombudsman letter on the CSRD omnibus, which was proposed without an impact assessment or public consultation. And you explained that this, to the Ombudsman, that this rush was justified by the critical urgency at the time, in light of the Draghi report, etc. But the Ombudsman noted that the Commission has not indicated any specific sudden or unexpected event justifying the urgency. So I was wondering if you could clarify this specifically, as well as have a general comment on the letter from the Ombudsman. And then a second question on this, related to this, because the Ombudsman raised in her letter the very short inter-service consultation on the proposal, or the proposals, which was launched on a Friday evening for 24 hours until Saturday evening. So I was wondering, I mean, this seems to be something of a political decision that you clearly didn't want any internal feedback on, given the very short 24-hour inter-service consultations. I was wondering, can you give any alternative credible hypothesis for not doing the normal 10 working days inter-service consultation? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Christian. I believe Ariana has some elements for you.
Hi, Christian, where are you? Ah, there you are. Sorry, I'm half blind without glasses, but I'll do my best. No, so thank you for the question. First of all, like always, let me just confirm that the Commission stands ready to cooperate with the Ombudsman and will reply to questions as raised as soon as possible, as it always does. So I'm not going to enter into the specifics of the Ombudsman's observations. What I can say is that we have heard the concerns raised on the public consultation and impact assessment for the omnibus proposal, and we of course reaffirm our commitment for transparency and the principles of the better regulation. In line with the better regulation policy, the Commission can, in urgent cases, replace a full impact assessment with an analytical report. In the current context, of which you are well aware, businesses and member states urgently needed legal certainty to comply with the sustainability framework. This applied especially to companies that were required to report for the first time in 2026 for the financial year 2025. Therefore, the Commission has acted swiftly to avoid delays and unnecessary costs. The urgency of simplifying the sustainability framework has been recognised by EU leaders just a couple of weeks ago in the context of the European Council. They have said that they welcome the progress achieved so far and urge the co-legislators to maintain the momentum with a view to swiftly agree the simplification packages presented by the Commission. So there is a clear recognition of this very urgent need. The fact that both the Parliament and the Council agreed on the C1 simplification and the stop-the-clock proposal in really what can be considered record time is a clear political signal that there is broad institutional support to swiftly reduce unnecessary burden for the companies. And just let me also remind you that the Commission has been ongoing with stakeholders through various means. For example, a call for evidence that received 193 replies to gather input on how we can simplify sustainability frameworks and reducing burdens for reporting needs of the companies. We also had meetings, workshops, roundtable debates, dialogues, reality checks, businesses, associations, NGOs were all involved, and we have discussed with them implementation issues. Therefore, as I said, on the Ombudsman specifically, we will reply in due course, but this was to set a general framework on our work on simplification.
Thank you very much. It was quite a clear overview. Kirsten.
Thank you, Ariana. Just on the second question on the inter-service consultation on the proposal, because normally this runs for 10 working days. You did it for 24 hours over a weekend, Friday to Saturday. It's very hard to understand that. So if you can give any explanation on that specifically, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Thanks. We're not in the habit of commenting on our internal processes and procedures. This was something that was agreed by the College. The means by we do it are internal. All the cabinets have the possibility to comment on them. In any case, we adjust the timings of the consultations also depending on external factors, for example, as to the urgency of matters. And in this case, I was specifically underlining the urgency that has been recognized by the co-legislators as well and by businesses above all. For what concerns the Ombudsman, we will of course reply to the letter, and we are ready to cooperate with them in all respects and all observations they made, and we will revert to that in due time.
Thank you very much, Ayaan. You have questions on this? Follow up on this? No. Any other questions on this? Is on this?
So, if I understood well, the definition of urgency that you are giving the motivation for the urgency they are giving is in order to give certainty to the enterprises, to the business, when we are changing actually the legislation, in order to have certainty that these changes are made as soon as possible, urgently, etc. But I mean, the problem is there is a legislation that has been approved with the democratic process, with co-decision by Parliament and Council only a few months ago, and in some cases has not even entered into force, was going to enter into force, and the Commission has decided to change it. So the first problem is why does the Commission change something that has been approved only a few months ago? And then, of course, you change it, so then you want the changes to be done as soon as possible, because you are creating the problem for the enterprises, the uncertainty. The enterprises that have already invested in the regulation as it was a few months ago, when it was approved, definitely approved, they are penalized. So it's a very bizarre conception of urgency, frankly. Can you give us what is urgent according to the Commission in this?
Thanks, Lorenzo. I find this to be more a statement than a question, but let me elaborate on the last part of the question. I think we have been very, very clear since the start of the mandate on a need of general simplification and regulatory streamlining to ease burden on companies. This was in the political guidelines of the President. It was in the missions letters. It's something we're doing across the board. We have, I believe, 5 omnibus packages, maybe 6. I missed one, but 6 already. Thank you, Lorenzo, for confirming. So it is something that we're doing across the board, and it is because we listen to businesses and companies and we take on board their concerns that we act. In the current context, businesses do face immediate challenges that they have to deal with, for example, regarding international competitiveness, and the compliance with the sustainability framework is one of their main concerns. Therefore, simplifying and facilitating this framework requires swift action by the Commission and by the co-legislators. As a matter of fact, not only we have listened to businesses raising these concerns time and time again, but it's also the co-legislators themselves who have asked us to continue with our efforts, as I was recalling from the conclusions of the European Council of just a few weeks ago. Therefore, the general need of simplification and reduction of administrative burden is clear and recognized. The urgency to act is, on the one hand, to ensure that companies can have the means to be competitive as quickly as possible, and on the other hand, to ensure the legal certainty. And specifically here I was mentioning requirements that would kick in already next year for this reporting year, and therefore the urgency of the action generally, without commenting on our internal procedures.
Oopsie. Another question, Christian? Go ahead.
Thank you, Stefan. Just a quick follow-up on that specifically, because can you confirm that all 5 or 6 omnibuses that you mentioned have been adopted without impact assessments and public consultations? Just if you could confirm that specific point. And do they all face the same urgency?
I think yes, on the urgency. They all do face the same urgency. They are concerning different legislations in different sectors, all of key relevance for our industries. On the impact assessments specifically, I will have to double check not to say something that is not fully correct. But as I was saying, according to the better regulation policy, the Commission can, in urgent cases, replace the full impact assessment with analytical reports. And as I was also mentioning, all proposals we have made come after extensive consultations with the stakeholders, businesses, NGOs, associations, etc. So their views have been taken into account in various contexts. For example, roundtables, as I was mentioning, dialogues of different sorts, workshops, etc. And of course, they are at the test of the co-legislators, who now are negotiating on the proposals we have made, and we count on a swift approval on their side.
Thank you. All right. I think we can now take other questions on other topics. Please raise your hands. Yes?
Thank you. Filippo Santelli from La Repubblica, Italy. I have a couple of questions on trade matters. First one is if you can provide some details on the call or contacts Commissioner Šefčovič has had with U.S. counterparts, and what are the European takeouts, particularly on the negotiation platform. How much has it changed? How much U.S. requests have changed? The second one is on the counter tariffs list that has been shared with the governments. How long do you expect the review process to last, since the package is ready to be activated, and how and when would the actual level of tariffs be determined if needed? Thank you.
Thank you. Olaf.
Thanks for your question. So first, I can confirm that Commissioner Šefčovič had a call with the US Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick yesterday evening. I can't provide any details on that. I can confirm that Commissioner Šefčovič will have a call with the United States Trade Representative Jemison Greer this early evening. I can confirm that technical teams from the European Commission are on their way to Washington, D.C. as we speak, and I am not going to go into any greater level of detail concerning the negotiations with the US because, as we all are very well aware, we are in the most sensitive stage of those negotiations right now, working towards getting an agreement in principle over the line before the deadline set by the US of the 1st of August. Concerning your second question, the second list of countermeasures that was put together by the European Commission and for which we conducted a 4-week consultation with Member States and stakeholders and industry several weeks ago was sent to Member States yesterday. They will now have an opportunity to look at that list, and what will happen then is that the Commission will engage what we call our standard comitology process, which is essentially that we will take the views on board, we will make a proposal to Member States, and they would then approve that second list. However, I can say to you that it is not our intention to come forward with any countermeasures before the 1st of August while negotiations continue.
Thank you. Any other questions for Olaf? You have a follow-up? Yes?
Just a quick follow-up. I get you don't, it's no intention to come out with countermeasures, but do you think this new list would be ready to be activated August 1st if needed? Is there enough time for this whole comitology process?
Well, as I said, the Commission is solely responsible for that process. We will determine the exact point at which we move it forward, but I repeat, it is not our intention to come forward with any countermeasures before the 1st of August.
Thank you. Any other questions, lady?
Hi, Olaf. Kim McCrail from the Wall Street Journal. After the call the Commissioner had with Secretary Lutnick yesterday and any other communications that have gone on so far with the U.S., can you say whether the Commission has any assurances or any confidence at this stage after the letter was received this weekend that the U.S. still wants to negotiate on a deal and that U.S. trade officials and the Commerce Secretary still have a mandate to do that at this point? Thanks.
Thanks for your question, Kim. Look, we wouldn't be engaging in negotiations if we didn't think those negotiations could lead to a good outcome. So clearly we think that an agreement in principle, as we have said, is within reach. So that is what we are putting all our efforts, all our focus on right now. I've provided you the list of contacts that are happening imminently or today. And as that develops, should, for example, any in-person meetings at political level be organised, we will, of course, let you know.
Jan Neflin, German Television, ZDF. I have two questions for Olaf. One is, as the Commission presented the proposal to ban gas imports into the EU last month under the Repower EU plan, Can you give us any updates how that is going along? And the second question would be, so President Trump announced the secondary tariffs or the threat of secondary tariffs yesterday. What's the Commission's opinion on that? And also, this would also hit like a lot of EU countries because they import goods from Russia. What's the Commission's opinion on that?
Thank you very much. I think your first question is not for Olof. Let's hold it for a second, and let's go to the second question for Olof.
Yeah, thanks for the question on the secondary tariffs. I mean, that's still a hypothetical thing, you know. And we're not going to comment on hypotheticals in that sphere at this point, with your understanding.
We'll come back to your first question, but first I'd like to take other questions for Olof. Yes, I see there's also questions on that side. Yeah.
Hi, Antonia from Politico. I have two questions. The first one going back to EU-US. Is what was on the table before Donald Trump sent his letter this weekend still the basis for negotiations at this point in time, or has that changed? And then the second one is a nice question on Mercosur. Are the EU-US talks impacting the publication of the Mercosur deal, and when can we expect it?
Thank you for your questions, Antonia. I shall answer them in the order that you asked. 1, nice try. We don't comment on ongoing negotiations. 2, no. And 3, it'll be ready when it's ready.
Thank you. Concise and clear. Lorenzo later. First, the gentleman behind you, and then Lorenzo.
Thank you, Gabriele Rosani, El Messaggero. Olof, you said that it's not your intention, of course, to activate the second package before August the 1st. But since you were referring to the comitology, just to have it clear the process, are you aiming at approving it before August the 1st and perhaps suspending it, as it has been the case with the first package in the past, so that it's ready to be activated on August the 1st, if the need be?
The thing I want you to take away from what I'm saying today is that the Commission is in charge of the process. So the second list of EU countermeasures is now with Member States for them to take a look at and to discuss. The first list of countermeasures is suspended. We have extended the suspension. Our intention is to not put in place any countermeasures before the 1st of August, which is the deadline that the US has given to us, and indeed the entire world, to find negotiated outcomes to replace tariffs. So the process really is quite simple, that the Commission would make a proposal to Member States with a final list that they would then vote on. I'm not going to offer precise timings at this point on when that might take place, for the precise reason, as I've mentioned, that we are in the sensitive negotiation phase right now. And therefore, I think I've said enough now to make it quite clear that we control the process. We'll do it as and when it's necessary.
Thank you. Lorenzo.
It's exactly on this point. You will propose the list, if it is needed, when you decide, to the Member States in comitology. So the question is, that means Member States will have to be a qualified majority against in order to stop it. It's the only way to stop it. Can you confirm this? Because this is, in my understanding, what the comitology means.
Yes, Lorenzo, I confirm.
In the back, yeah. And then I go.
Gina Smilek from the New York Times. Thanks for taking our questions. Commissioner Šefčovič made clear yesterday that he had expected that, you might be close on a trade deal prior to getting the letter last week. I was wondering if you know, or if it has been established, whether President Trump actually saw that framework deal that was getting near and rejected it, or whether the letter came before it was put on his desk.
Thank you for your question, Gina, but that is a question for President Trump and his administration to answer, not me.
Indeed. You had a question?
Thank you. Razia Akoch, AFP News Agency. Technical teams are equal, but they're not always the same. So can I ask, is Bjorn part of that team? Is von der Leyen's trade advisor, who I do have a lot of respect for, so I want to know if he's part of the team. Just because if it's just a few officials, it just kind of changes how I view the technical team. Thank you.
Razia, thank you for your question. Your assessment of our negotiating teams matters a great deal to them, I'm sure. But I'm not, at this point, going to be precise about who is or is not travelling. All I can say is that I can state with confidence that the people who are travelling to negotiate on behalf of the European Union are the best equipped and qualified people to do so.
Thank you. I see questions raised in Interactio. Eleonora Rinaldi.
Yes. Hi, good morning. My question is actually on climate relations between the EU and China, so a different topic. I will ask them and then you decide whenever to address them. My first question is on the EU high-level dialogue between China and the EU that took place yesterday. We didn't hear from the Commission, so it would be good to have, an understanding of what went on and what the Commission can share with us. And then my second question was on the EU-China summit, which is expected next week. We read that China was trying to push forward a joint declaration with the EU. Is a joint declaration still on the table, and is the EU open to the idea?
Thank you very much. But let's first take any other questions on the trade issues that we're discussing right now. Raise your hands if that is the case. We'll come back to your questions later. I don't see hands raised here. You had another question. I think I will first, if you could raise your question again, please.
I can. So the Commission presented the proposal to phase out Russian gas till the end of 2027 last month under the Repower EU plan. How's that going along, especially in regards to some member countries who still rely on Russian gas imports?
Thank you very much. And thank you, Olof, for your help.
Correct. We presented the roadmap to phase out, or the legislative proposal to phase out Russian gas in June, and it is now with the co-legislators, meaning the European Council, Member States and the European Parliament, for them to take forward the work and start their deliberations now under the Danish presidency. So your question, how's it going, is best addressed actually to these two institutions. We made a very, very solid, good proposal and are of course willing to willing and ready to work with the co-legislators in the process, but it is now with the Member States and the European Parliament.
Indeed. Thank you. Jorge is on this.
Yes, hello. Anna Kaisa, can you give us the details, the latest about your negotiations with Slovakia regarding the Repower EU plan? Have you reached any sort of compromise? Have you offered anything? Have you heard back from them? Where are we with this process? Thank you.
We continue to work very closely with Slovakia. We have been working with them since January, when we set up the high-level expert group to address the challenges that they brought forward when the gas transit via Ukraine finished at the end of last year. So now, also with view to the roadmap proposals and the policy to phase out Russian gas from EU market and Russian energy from EU market, we are in very close contact with them, but I do not have anything, any updates to inform you about at this point in time. But we do remain in contact, and the contacts are ongoing.
Yes, Jorge, follow up.
Yes, but without going into the details, can you confirm that you have made a sort of offer or proposal to Slovakia in order to break the deadlock with the 18th package of sanctions, or you haven't put anything specific on the table yet? Thank you.
I will confirm that we work very closely with Slovakia on issues that relate to diversification, regulatory obstacles, and diversification, and to find a solution as soon as possible. But I'm not in a position to confirm anything, any concrete measures at this stage. But we are in touch.
Thank you. Any other questions for Anna-Kaisa? Yes, the China question. Would you like us to listen to the question again, or?
Yeah, maybe again. It was the same questions I yesterday, but maybe she can ask
them. Okay. But you know the question?
Eleonora. She was online.
Eleonora. Okay, there you are. We will take your questions now, indeed. Would you like to repeat the questions, perhaps, so that it's clear?
Was it basically that you wanted to have an update on the high-level climate dialogue yesterday, right?
Yes, and also on the EU-China summit, I would like to know whether the joint declaration suggested by China on climate with the EU is still on the table, and whether the EU is open to the idea of having a joint declaration with China.
I will start with the high-level climate dialogue, and I will leave it to Stefan to comment on the upcoming summit. We will be actually publishing shortly a readout that you can then refer to as well. But given that I already promised yesterday that we will keep you posted, here we are. So there were actually a couple of dialogues taking place in China. There were 4 college members: Rivera, Hoekstra, Roswell and Jorgensen, who were there. And on the climate side, mainly the outcomes were that both parties or both sides reiterated the importance of multilateralism and of reducing emissions, and this is particularly relevant now as we are going forward to COP, and the both sides also reconfirmed that they will cooperate on the way towards COP. They also discussed the implementation of the current NDC, the Nationally Determined Contributions objectives. So this is what I can say on the climate side. There will be a couple of more details on the readout that we will be shortly publishing online as well. But I'll leave the commenting on the summit preparations to Stefan.
Yes, thank you very much. And as far as the preparation of the summit are concerned, I'm afraid I'm not in position to say a lot more or anything for now. Preparations are indeed ongoing. I also invite you to reach out to the Council organizing the preparation for this summit. In terms of actual deliverables for this summit, I'm also not in a position yet to announce anything, so preparations are ongoing. Thank you. Do you have any other questions for Anna-Kaisa? No? Another question? Yes?
This one's more about procedure for tomorrow, because it's the MFF, and I just wanted to know how it works. When are we going to get the documents? Is there going to be a press conference with Madam von der Leyen? Is there going to be a press conference with Commissioner Serafin? Any detail would be really grateful, and thank you.
Thank you very much. Listen, I actually started the midday with a few announcements on this. No problem. What I announced is that the meeting of the heads of cabinet is still ongoing, so I'm not in a position to give a lot of details on what is going to happen, what will be on the agenda for tomorrow. But I already shared or announced that President von der Leyen will present the multi-annual financial framework together with Commissioner Serafin here in the press room tomorrow in the afternoon, and that we also expect to organize a technical briefing for questions you may have to our experts. But I'm not in a position to tell you yet when, how, what time, so I invite you to take a look at at our usual comms channels. Thank you. Anything else for us today? That does, yes, I see Fabio Napoli.
Yes, hi, thank you for the floor. I'm wondering if you can tell us which member states asked the safe loans on defense so far. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That is a question for our defense man, Thomas.
Hi, Fabio. No list to report on now. I will just recall that following the latest European Council that we had, the President indeed mentioned that 10 member states had expressed their interest. Now, why can I not give you the exact names of these member states? Precisely because they have until the end of the month to express their interest and to request the safe loans. I would also refer you to the joint tweet that was issued by Commissioners Dombrovskis and Kubilius on this, where they have indeed again urged member states to take these safe loans in the interest of our European defence capabilities.
Thank you very much. Any other questions for Thomas? No. Thank you, Thomas. Any other questions for us today? No. Thank you very much. Have a very nice afternoon and see you tomorrow.